Recently, we made a video talking about the best UFC storylines. So today, we had to reverse it and talk about some of our least favorite storylines. You know, there's some negative things happening in the sport right now.
Yeah, some weird stories, some weird narratives, and like we said in the other video, we know it's not WWE and it's not scripted, although sometimes it feels like it is scripted. As such, example,
Dolidze versus Vettori 2 decision.
Who would have known?
Yeah. I mean, it's just easy, blockheads. But let's start off with number 10. Let's get into it right away. These are things that are upcoming in the UFC. Maybe fighters who need fights announced and they don't deserve it, or just dumb moments that we don't want to see happen. My number 10, though, just announce Pantoja versus Kai France. Just announce it already. Like, it's not a massive fight. No one really cares. We all know it's going to be next. So just hurry up and announce it for 316. There's already been that graphic that's been leaked. I don't know if they're trying to put together like the main event for that. If Pantoja KKF is going to be co-main, and so they want to announce it all together. But, it's just like Pantoja and the flyweight division, they need to get moving. They need to start having some movement up in the top of that, the top 5 of that division. So, yeah, there's no reason to hold up a division like that when you never really hear about flyweights being like injured.
Yeah.
They never need long layoffs, but for some reason they always have a 4-month or 6-month, usually 6-month break for the title fights. Mm-hmm. I'm just over it.
My number 10 is judges still not being held accountable for the whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
For the disasters that they're pulling. We saw the fight at UFC 313 where the dude just got completely robbed. I don't remember the names.
Oh, yeah. Santos versus Francis Marshall.
Yeah. And it's like Marshall...
Yeah, Marshall just won that fight.
Yeah, he won every... Yeah.
And Santos even came out afterwards, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I won that fight.
And even like the 49-46 for Ank. Yeah. So like I think like obviously in a big Ank situation, that's not crazy, but like the way that in the Marshall fight, like someone's got to be like, what happened here?
Yeah.
And also maybe give us actual criteria of what the judges score on so we can know as fans, because if we don't know what they're scoring it on, it's like baseball or hockey or football, but you don't actually get to know the rules. You don't get to know the rules.
Yeah, but by watching it so much, you can kind of guess.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, this should be a throw-in, right?
Yeah. Like, surely that's a goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very fair. My number 9 is Steve Ursay getting 3 awful matchups in a row.
That's the one I forgot. I thought about it last night and like the shower, and then I didn't add it.
Yeah.
And then
it's brutal. He's had the Pantoja fight, which as a number 10 ranked flyweight, it's never going to go well for you facing Pantoja, who's the second best flyweight of all time, pretty much. And then he had the Kai France matchup, which we completely overrated him in, thought he was going to outbox KKF, and then got brutally KO'd. And now the Brandon Moreno fight, which is coming up like in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
so
and he's just outclassed in all of them.
Yeah, it really sucks because I feel like if the UFC would have built him up slower, he could have been one of the best talents and the best prospects in the UFC, but they decided they needed a contender, they needed a title challenger, and they might have ruined his career.
Yeah, they threw him to the Sharks.
Yeah, and who knows? He could bounce back, but it's unlikely, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, but also it's like if you're Steve Ursay, you're like, well, you got to take those risks sometimes. You got to fight the big dogs. So
for sure. But
there's the give and take of it.
I'd be interested to know in the comments, when was the last time a fighter came back from a 3-fight losing streak to win a belt? Like,
has it ever happened?
3-fight losing streak in the rankings. We've had Holloway or maybe Charles who have had that, but in the rankings, I want to know.
Jeez. All right, my next storyline, Talbot was the future. Just everything that's going on with this, the way that he just got dominated.
Frank Ocean music video.
Frank Ocean, everything to do with that, hanging out on Valentine's Day, and it's like he truly is going to be one of those what ifs, because I think that he probably had the talent to be much better. He just didn't have maybe the motivation.
Yeah.
The second the fame, it was just like
the second Frank Ocean slid into his DMs, MMA
it was
went out
over.
The window.
It was over.
And to be honest, I feel like a lot of Frank Ocean fans would give up their dreams if Frank Ocean DM'd them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm yeah.
All right, moving on to number 8. I got Sean O'Malley getting a title shot off of a loss and not doing anything else. He doesn't deserve the Marab rematch. No one does, really. Peter Yan deserves it less, to be honest, even though Peter Yan's coming off of a couple wins in between that time period. But no fan is going to want to see Peter Yan fight for a belt once he's lost 50-45 to a champion. Yeah. You are never going to be interested in that matchup unless it's 3 or 4 years down the road, which it's not. But Sean O'Malley, on the other hand, he did win 2 of those rounds at the Sphere, but it was one of the most boring fights of the year. Kind of ruined the biggest event for the UFC, and I don't think that he should be coming off of a long layoff and getting another title shot against a champ who hasn't lost.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the first matchup and their second matchup? Like, there needs to be some narrative where I can be like, okay, maybe Sean O'Malley has a better chance now. I just don't see that narrative.
Yeah. Well, because at my number 8, I'm going to go with, can anyone beat Marab in the rematch? He's kind of beat everyone at the top. And that's the crappy part about it is just like, you don't want to see these fights anymore, because it's like, we are aware of how good Marab is. So it's like, Sean, do you have a chance against Marab? Probably not. Jan, probably not. All these guys he beat up to the top, he's almost cleared out the whole division.
Yeah. Sandhagen.
Bumhead. Dude, people hate on us for hating on Sandhagen in one of our reels. You said he was mid? Oh, they lost it.
Bro, he is mid. Tell me he's not mid, bro. Come on. The comments know he's mid. He hasn't... When was the last time he had like a great performance? No, it's... he puts on the glasses, does his homework, and shows up in 48-47 someone.
Yeah.
Or flying knee, okay? There's 2 options. Anyways, moving on to number 7. I got Zhang Weili probably sitting out for another full year. It's literally one of my least favorite things. I would say she is more exciting than almost every male fighter in flyweight and in bantamweight. I think that's fair to say. I think she's like more exciting than those 2 champions right now, and I really, really like to see her fight because she's just levels above the other women's fighters and mixes it up so well now. The elbows, her Muay Thai is improving, her grappling defense against the monster in the division, like stuffed every takedown and except one and just absolutely outclassed her everywhere. I love Zhang Weili as a fighter, and I know Dylan does too, but it's just like it's hard to have that as your favorite fighter when you only see him once a year.
Yeah, I got a lot of inactive fighters.
Literally, you pick everyone who doesn't fight. Shavkat, Zhang Weili.
It's how you stay away from defeat. You don't have heartbreak every 2 months.
Fair.
All right, my next one is the UFC loves Australia.
Brother.
Why do they just keep on going back to New Zealand and Australia? They're like, oh, yep, we're going back to Perth next year.
Yeah, has one of the worst cards in a long time, announces 2 more Australian pay-per-views. Like, bro, please
stay away. The fighters do not want to fight there for free.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally fighting for free.
It's charity at this point.
You're a low-end fighter fighting for $10,000, and then they just take 5 of it away.
And you have to pay your coaches the other 5. You make $0.
They're having to pick up a 3rd job to fight in Perth.
Yeah.
So why are we going back? The fighters don't want to fight there. It's different when we went there last year, and it was like, okay, we hadn't been here in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome,
And you have those Australian fighters.
People who want to fight there.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we go back like 6 months later, a year later. No one wants to fight there. We already fought there, and we actually want to make money when we fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great pick, actually. For my number 6 pick, I got something that's obvious. I know Dylan's going to have it, but it's the lack of heavyweight skill and the blobs taking over that division.
Yeah.
I think we're all tired of this modern era of UFC where there's a lot of drug testing, which is good, I think, in every division except for heavyweight, because these heavyweights need help to recover and to have stamina and cardio to last a championship fight. Even to last 2 rounds.
Yeah.
They need help. Like, I would say when you start looking at the rankings, it only becomes like a skilled heavyweight fight in the top 7. Spivak and Tibura, they're literally the same person, but I would say that's like the cutoff.
Like, I don't even know how skilled that is, though.
I know. I'm saying like they're below. They're
Yeah.
below the cutoff. I would not
Yeah.
call them like very skilled heavyweights. I think Almeida's skilled. I think Blades is skilled. Obviously, you got Tom and Pavlovich. Like, those are all decent fighters. But in any other weight class, I think they would be, 15 to 10 ranked.
Yeah.
Not top 5.
Oh, some of them might not even be.
Yeah, some of them aren't ranked, know? Like, Pavlovich might get project way earlier.
Yeah. This was a personal one. Canadian fighters cannot win in Canada. UFC goes to Canada every year and just for the Canadian fighters to go for like 0 for 8.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It is so defeating.
Yeah.
Why is there not a single good Canadian fighter?
We used up all of our points already,
We just went all in on GSP.
It's so true. Mike Malott was the guy. He was the new GSP, and then he lost to Neil Magny.
Yeah.
Big Neil Magny in the 3rd round. Frank, dude. And then there's no one else. Like, there's that woman fighter, and that is...
No, there's the feather bantamweight.
Okay, he's not up and coming. Charles Jourdain, up and coming. Is
Yeah.
that who you're talking about?
No, there's the other one, the up and coming one. The last name starts with a B.
Okay, I don't know.
The bald one.
I'm not familiar
The
with...
bald one.
I'm not familiar with Canadian game.
Dude, because they all suck.
Yeah, they all suck. There's no point. Next up, I got Arman Sarukian having to fight down for another title shot. It's like... It's kind of valid because he did ruin 311, but it's also just totally not valid because Makhachev's beaten the brakes off every single lightweight.
Yeah.
And now with Ilya, I think there's an opportunity for that new matchup. I would much rather see Ilya versus Makhachev rather than Makhachev versus Sarukian. But if they're not going to give Ilya that matchup and they do big Justin Gaethje, you have missed out massively on Arman Sarukian versus Makhachev. I don't care if he pulled out. It obviously wasn't something he was intending to do. He's still stylistically the hardest matchup for Makhachev. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that this is a closer fight than any other Makhachev title defense. And I just wish the UFC would start matchmaking like the fans matchmake, I don't care how much money you have to give Makhachev to force him into this title shot versus Ilya. Just give it to him. And if that's not happening, give him Sarukian. Don't listen to Ali Abdelaziz because Ali Abdelaziz manages Gaethje and Makhachev. Of course he's going to want them to fight. He makes a crazy amount of money and he knows it's an easy matchup for Makhachev. Like, it's ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. I hate Ali Abdelaziz.
Okay, tell us how you really feel, man. All right, my next pick. Let's go with the mess at heavyweight. You already kind of talked about it, but it's just so frustrating. We have 30 heavyweights in the biggest mixed martial arts promotion in the world. The premier division, the creme de la creme. You get 1 win and you're ranked. Mm-hmm. Like, there's probably guys who make debuts, lose, and good performance, top 5 ranking.
Dante Almeida doesn't fight, we'll bump you into the rankings, buddy.
Yeah, I just put you up there.
Waldo Cortez Acosta, that dude moves in and out of the rankings every week.
I think he's like 9 now, basically.
Yeah, Mick Parkins started at 15, doesn't fight. He's up to like 11 now, bro. This is crazy.
Yeah, Taliesin Teixeira, like they're gonna literally bring in heavyweights off the Contender Series and immediately rank them. Here's your contract and the number 13 ranking. Can we please get to Anyway Contender Series and just like a full season of all heavyweights? Tough all heavyweights.
That's not bad.
Like, we need heavyweights, heavyweight and light heavyweight, please.
Yeah, and then Rizvan Blobiev pulls out of 313. Like, it's just brutal, man.
Yeah.
We're going through it. My number 4 pick, Shavkat fighting once a year. One of the fighters with the most aura, the most fan hype, the most potential, and he's always injured. I don't know what this dude is doing. I don't know what sports in Kazakhstan he's playing, toss the goat with the horse. But this dude needs to lock in and just, I don't know, take training easier, get an ice bath, get the sauna in the backyard.
We've seen the sports that they play there, though.
I know, yeah. It's wild. It's wild stuff. But something's got to change.
Maybe eat a vegetable.
Tearing it. Yeah, lay off the horse meat.
Moving on to my number 4. We're going to talk about this kind of right back to back. But the heavier, the better.
What does that mean?
Like, the heavier the weight class, the better it is.
Well, that's not true. The heavier weight classes suck.
Yeah, the heavier the better is like the bad storyline.
Oh, I see.
Casual fans, light heavyweight, they're like, oh, this is premier,
It's going to get KOs every time.
Yeah, and it's like decision, and then it's like, oh, flyweight sucks. Boom. knockout.
Yeah, it's the meme. 2 flyweights on the early prelims, and Goku going at it, and then it's the heavyweights who gas out in 1 round.
Yeah. And it's like, I think it's probably a narrative that's actually stemmed from boxing, because it's never actually been true inside of the UFC.
Yeah.
I think lightweight has forever been the premier division.
Pretty much, yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, I'd say like maybe welterweight.
Yeah,
when GSP.
lightweight and welterweight have been the premier divisions.
Yeah.
And light heavyweight when Jones and DC were kicking at the top,
True.
sure. But
I don't think heavyweight has ever been like great skill.
no, like even if you look at like the top guys all time, it's like Stipe's your GOAT.
Yeah, Stipe's your go. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the old heads will argue Cain Velasquez and Randy Couture, but
yeah,
those guys, like, even those guys don't hold a candle to the heavyweights right now, and the heavyweights right now suck.
Yeah, it's bad. So this narrative probably brought over from boxing, does not apply to UFC, because there's so much more, and the most skill you'll find is at flyweight.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you have to be well-rounded if you want to go into a flyweight fight.
Yeah.
Number 3, this one is something that will always piss me off. Dana White not promoting Tom Aspinall. Till the day he dies, he will not say Tom Aspinall's name. And I don't understand what his reasoning is, Did he really want that Pereira versus Jones fight, and he wants everyone to just look over Tom Aspinall? That's never going to happen. Like, you have to accept that the fans have rallied behind Aspinall, so you might as well promote him. You might as well give him his flowers and say that he's the best contender at heavyweight and he's the deserving Jones challenger. But this narrative of him trying to say Jones is the heavyweight GOAT, and he deserves whatever he wants, and he's not scared to fight anyone. Like, the defense of Jones and then the diminishing of Aspinall is just absolutely crazy to me, because Jones is going to retire in 2 years at the latest, 3 months at the earliest, a year at the latest, and you're not promoting the 31-year-old best heavyweight, stand up, knock out everyone in 2 minutes guy. It doesn't, like, my brain cannot compute what Dana White as a promoter is doing. As a marketer, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's all because John Jones, your GOAT, It's like if, it feels like for me, if like the NBA just like held on to LeBron, but he just didn't play or something like that, LeBron, he's only plays half his games,
Yeah, they talk about him every match and his stats, but he never plays.
Yeah, they just hold on to it,
Yeah, and imagine, like, NBA team wins the finals, and all they can talk about is, well, if LeBron was here, he would have carried the team to the top.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, dude. He's not here, though.
Yeah. All right, moving on to my number 3. This is when you're really going to like this. The best prospects have to be undefeated. And we've seen this in 2025. You got a 0 next to your name, you're losing.
See ya.
But you're a exciting prospect with like 7 losses.
You might be the GOAT, buddy.
Yeah. You're the future right there. And I think we're seeing this. I think the Fighting Nerds kind of put this on the map in 2024 of that, you don't necessarily have to be undefeated to be the top prospect. And these undefeated prospects, it's because they're getting these cherry-picked matchups, It means Bo Nickal's going to lose to RDR.
I mean, yeah, probably. I would pick RDR,
I think that's a terrible matchup for Bo Nickel.
It is. Why? Like, they've been giving him primarily garbage cans and Paul Craig, and now he gets RDR, who's gonna be able to defend.
Yeah, who's good? Like honestly, maybe a nightmare matchup, because RDR has great wrestling.
Yeah.
Plus better striking than Bo Nickel, experience.
Big for the division.
Yeah.
The dude's built like a boat.
Yeah, a Dutch boat.
Yeah.
Dutch boat, wooden clog.
Dutch wood. Number 2, Islam Makhachev getting free title defenses, and I'll name them for you. Dustin, come on. He fought at 300 or 299 and then had to fight at 302. Crazy quick turnaround for a dude who's like 36.
Okay.
Free title defense, and it was close. Moicano, free title defense, first round finish. Fair play, you got the first round finish, but Moicano has lost to everyone in featherweight. Volk, short notice. It's literally a free name on your resume. Oh, he beat Volk 2 times. Okay, Volk on 10 days notice, fat off the couch, probably drunk in that fight. That should not count as a win. You know what I mean, all right? And then Justin Gaethje, Big Rufus, getting a title shot. If he gets his title shot, it's another fluky free title shot that Makhachev has swung somehow gotten this, matchup. It's ridiculous at this point. And I don't think he's necessarily scared to fight anyone. I don't get that vibe from him. I just think his managers do a very good job at timing his fights. Oh, I can only fight in Abu Dhabi. He doesn't pull that one too much, or oh, we need time to recover from this injury, so I can't fight during this time. And I think it's proven in the fact that he had a Sarukian matchup and he was fine to take it. Both of them had good training camps. But now he's rejecting an Ilia Topuria matchup, which, does Ilia Topuria need another matchup to prove himself at lightweight?
No.
Maybe. Maybe he does. I think that's fair coming from Makhachev, who had to earn his way to the top, crazy win streak. And now you see this young up and coming guy getting a title shot right away. Yeah, Makhachev might be mad at that. But you're going to say to me with a straight face that Justin Gaethje, who lost to Max Holloway, who lost to Ilia Topuria, pull out this MMA math, you think Justin Gaethje deserves a shot when he can't defend a takedown? He got taken down by Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? This is a joke by now. Islam Makhachev's title defense are becoming a joke.
Yeah.
And yes, I still think he's the lightweight GOAT, but his title defenses are becoming a joke.
Okay, well, I think we're on number 2 after that.
Yeah. You're on number 2. You're on number 2.
Speech, rant. Volk regains his belt. If Volk wins against Diego Lopez at 314, it destroys the featherweight division.
Wow, I disagree. I think Volk is going to be active again.
But here's the thing, is that it's the guy who lost it to Poirier. It's a B-tier title then.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like it's at a lower level. Whereas Lopez wins, there's the unknown of Lopez versus Poirier. What would have happened there? Lopez is going to be just as active as Volk.
That's true.
You have the Movsar rematch there, and then, you have all these fights coming up, but Volk wins it. It's like, oh, this guy lost to the guy who vacated the belt. Yeah,
but I think Volk, the way I see it playing out, Volk is more skilled than Lopez. So if Volk wins, it's like, yeah, Volk won that fight 5 rounds or dominated him, ground and pound him. If Lopez wins, Volk got caught. You know what I mean? And then Lopez has to go fight Movsar, and Movsar might get the belt. And then I will cry live on this channel.
If Movsar wins the belt, no.
We're retiring.
No.
Dagestan fighter in every division.
No. All right, number 1. Let's hear it.
Number 1. Knowing Pereira is getting older and that 2024 was his best year he's ever going to have. It's very sad.
Yeah.
You got to come to the realization that he's never going to become triple champ. He's never going to have another 3 title defenses in 1 year.
You might never even have another win.
As crazy as it is, yeah, he might never have another win. And I think his 2024 title run, especially by us, will never be forgotten, because it's like the year we started this channel, and it was just like the hype around it.
Yeah.
Every pay-per-view was unbelievable. He saved so many cards, headlined the biggest UFC event, UFC 300. It was special, and I don't think we're going to see something like that for a very long time, especially in light heavyweight. And now we got Big Ank. And I think Big Ank is actually doing a good job on Twitter of making fun of John Jones, which is a popular thing to do. So I think he's being smart about that, and his tweets are funny. So I like that right now, but the Pereira 2024, you're gonna tell your kids about that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be special for a long time.
Yeah. Dad, tell us about 2024, Alex Pereira.
Tear to my eye.
Yeah. All right, my number 1 worst storylines in the UFC is that McGregor's still coming back. For me, I think the UFC just needs to fully cut ties. He still has the fact that he still has his contract. It just makes it like, he's still connected.
Dana White has that framed, and he looks at it every night before he goes to bed. Come back to me, Connor.
The UFC is in a new era. The new stars are here. So having this guy, people are forever going to call him Conor McGregor. Just cut ties with him, cut him out of the UFC, just so that we don't have him tainting anything. This person who's not a good person.
What are you talking about?
we already got the 2 most iconic UFC fighters of all time are just both terrible people.
Yeah.
So
GSP holding down the fort for us Canadians.
Real. But yeah, like let's just cut ties with Conor McGregor because he's not coming back. Is the reality of it. So why do we still maybe he's being held around just money, fame, clips. Oh, Chandler calls out McGregor again.
Yeah, there's that like slight possibility,
Yeah.
and it has a little bit of hype behind it. So yeah, you get those casual fans who are like, oh, McGregor, man, 2025 is our year.
He's coming back. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Make sure you guys go down to the comments. Let us know what are your least favorite current storylines or narratives right now inside of the UFC. While you guys are down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. Appreciate all the love and support, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
So yeah.